What if the only thing standing between you and the life you truly want is you? And more precisely, the version of you that keeps sabotaging everything just when it starts to go right? The truth behind this question is uncomfortable, but it holds the key to real transformation. Stay with me until the end of this video, because that answer might change how you see yourself forever. Self-sabotage doesn't always look like destruction. Sometimes, it wears the mask of logic. It tells you you're being realistic, that it's better not to try than to fail, that it's safer to stay where you are, even if where you are is suffocating. It whispers that now is not the time, that you're not ready, that you need one more course, one more sign, one more piece of validation before you act. It's persuasive, familiar, and sometimes even comforting. But beneath it all, self-sabotage is fear pretending to be caution. The Stoics had no patience for that kind of fear. Not because they were reckless, but because they understood how much of life is wasted by not confronting the truth. And one of the hardest truths is this: we don't just fear failure, we fear success. We fear who will have to become to maintain it. We fear the change, the responsibility, the visibility. So instead, we stay in the loop. We start something with excitement, then slowly destroy it with excuses. We fall into old habits right when new ones begin to work. We distance ourselves from the very people, practices, and possibilities that could elevate us. And then we blame timing, or say it just wasn't meant to be. But the Stoic mind doesn't operate that way. It seeks cause, not comfort. It looks for clarity, not justification. When a Stoic sees a pattern of self-sabotage, they don't just accept it, they dissect it. They ask, what part of me benefits from staying stuck? Because believe it or not, part of you does. There is always a payoff for your patterns, even the destructive ones. And until you're honest about what that payoff is, you will keep returning to them. Sometimes the payoff is familiarity. We'd rather deal with problems we understand than face the unknown of real change. Sometimes the payoff is control. If we fail by our own hand, at least it was our choice. Sometimes the payoff is attention, or pity, or the illusion of movement. But none of those things are freedom. None of them lead to peace. And the Stoic is always pursuing peace, not comfort, not approval, but deep inner stillness that comes from living in alignment with truth. Silence plays a crucial role here, because the voice of sabotage is loud. It drowns out reason. It talks you out of taking the risk, out of making the call, out of getting up early, showing up strong, and staying consistent. It floods you with distractions, overthinking, imaginary scenarios, and endless what-ifs. But silence is where the other voice lives. The one that says, you know what needs to be done. Stop delaying. Begin. The Stoics trained in silence, not to retreat from life, but to confront it with clarity. Because when the noise falls away, you're left with one thing, the choice. And every act of sabotage is a choice. Maybe not a conscious one, but a choice nonetheless. The good news is, awareness is the beginning of power. Once you see the pattern, you no longer have to be it. Once you hear the excuses for what they are, you don't have to obey them. Once you become silent enough to recognize the fear behind your resistance, you can walk straight through it. Because fear cannot survive when it's exposed. It thrives in shadows, in speed, in noise. But in silence, it has nowhere to hide. The Stoic trains daily for this. They don't just try to avoid self-sabotage, they prepare for it. They anticipate their own patterns the way a skilled sailor reads the wind. They write, reflect, ask hard questions, and surround themselves with structure. Not to be rigid, but to be free. Because freedom without discipline is chaos. And a life led by impulse will always return to sabotage. So what must be eliminated? First, the belief that you're broken. You're not. You're just untrained. The Stoics didn't believe people were naturally wise. They believed wisdom was earned through practice. You train your body to be strong, your skills to be sharp, your schedule to be organized. So why not your mind? Why not train it to resist distraction, to choose the higher path even when the lower one is easier? Next, eliminate the fantasy of overnight change. Self-sabotage thrives on all-or-nothing thinking. It tells you that if you slip once, it's over. That if you don't feel motivated, you shouldn't act. But Stoicism teaches consistency over intensity. It teaches that small, repeated acts of virtue shape character far more than bursts of inspiration. The person who succeeds isn't the one who never falls, but the one who rises without drama and continues the work. Also eliminate the noise that reinforces your worst habits. The content you consume, the people you follow, the conversations you allow, are they lifting you or limiting you? The Stoic is ruthless about influence, because they understand that environment shapes thought, and thought shapes life. If you feed your mind with chaos, don't be surprised when your actions reflect it. If you surround yourself with people who normalize mediocrity, don't be shocked when you settle for it too. And finally, eliminate the shame. Shame keeps you silent. Shame makes you hide. But the Stoics did not believe in punishment, they believed in correction. Not harshness, but honesty. If you messed up, say so. If you fell back, acknowledge it. But don't stay there. Don't decorate your pit and call it home. Get up. Move forward. Make the next right choice. Now let's return to the question we started with. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you truly want is the version of you that keeps sabotaging your progress? The answer is it is. And that version of you doesn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be understood, confronted, retrained, not with violence, but with quiet strength. With the kind of daily effort that isn't glamorous, but powerful. Because when the noise fades and the silence sets in, the truth becomes clear. Success is not something you stumble into. It's something you become by eliminating everything that keeps pulling you backward. That is the Stoic path. And the moment you step onto it with awareness and intention, the sabotage ends, not because the fear is gone, but because you finally decided to act anyway. In silence, with discipline, and with complete responsibility. That's how you reclaim your future. One quiet, powerful choice at a time.